Hi, I'm Dana. Today I want to talk about probably the second most popular question I get from parents, and that is, how do I get my kids to listen? Well, that's an interesting way of putting it because so many people email me and say, my kids won't listen, they won't listen to me. But the truth is they are listening. Unless they're actually hearing impaired, they're hearing you. They can listen. What the frustrating part for you is that they're not doing what you've asked them to do. Okay, so that's a little bit of a mind shift in that your kids are listening, they're just not doing. All right, so change that focus a little bit, and I think it'll help alleviate some of the frustration you're having around this. Now, I'm going to give you some tips here today to help with this. I mean, let's be honest, people. There won't be a child on earth who will happily do whatever you tell them to do every day of the week. End of story, right? They're just not going to do it. But there are some ways to help. Number one is you need to be present. Now, that is a tough one when you're trying to get kids out the door and you're up in your bedroom and they're down in the TV room and you're hollering down the stairs for them to get ready. That's not as effective, right? That's easy to tune out, right? Think about it. If your spouse is hollering at you from across the house, it's kind of easy to just ignore it and think, well, he'll come and tell me in face-to-face if he really needs it, right? So you need to get present. So go into the room, turn off the TV if they're watching TV, or make them pause their game or whatever they're doing so that they have your attention, and get them to look at you as you speak. Ask for what you need and then get confirmation, right? You'll know that they heard you if they say, okay, mom, or yes, mom. And that takes some coaching. You know, I'll still have to occasionally say to my children, please say yes, mom, or I heard you, mom, or I'm doing it, mom, so that I know that they've heard me, so that I don't have to keep repeating myself. Tip number 2 is to wait for the response. So if I've asked my kids to go clean up the kitchen, for example, and they say, yes, mom, well, now I want to actually see them put that into action. So I give them, let's say 5 seconds to make the decision to turn off the TV and go clean up the kitchen. And if they don't, then there needs to be some sort of a consequence. So still, again, my children are a little bit older than yours, most likely. But if I say that's one, if they don't respond to what I've asked them to do and I say that's one, they jump up and get moving because they know the next thing out of my mouth is a consequence, right? And for children, I mean, it still works with my own kids to give them a timeout. They very rarely get one anymore, thank goodness. But when they were young, I used timeouts all the time. So timeout, if I get to 2, you're going for a timeout. And that is a consequence to the behavior. And now, the mistakes that I see a lot of parents make is that they're very irregular with their consequences. Sometimes it's after 1 warning, sometimes it's after 5. And I have found that the clearer the consequence is, the more effective they become. So that's one. Next time I have to say it, it's a consequence. I really don't believe in more than 1 warning. I believe children are intelligent little human beings. They understand that they've been given a warning, and the next thing, if they don't respond, is a consequence. Don't need to give 3. That's too many, because most kids will wait until you get to the third warning before they respond. You can also set up some positives around this. If you've got a real tricky area, and usually it's the morning rush, getting kids out of the house on a timely manner is tricky for a lot of people, to set up some positivity around this and say, listen, if we can get out the door by 8 a.m. every day this week, on Friday, we'll have a special dinner, or we'll go to a movie, or we'll have some sort of reward around that. And if you've got young ones, again, you can set up really clear, easy rewards, even with a 2-year-old, and say, listen, you get your shoes on. If you can get your shoes on by yourself, I will give you a blank. You're just trying to create some positivity around what can be a very negative experience. Now, rewards don't last forever, so don't panic. You won't still be giving him a cookie every time he puts his shoes on when he's 15 years old. You know, it's just basically to get the ball rolling, to set a tone around a behavior, and then eventually it just kind of fades out on its own. So don't worry too much about that. Okay, so let's just recap. Get present, wait for confirmation, give one warning, and then consequence. It's that simple. Yelling is not effective. You know, very few children respond well to yelling. And what can happen then is your child will start waiting for yelling, right? They know when you ask nicely, you didn't really mean business, and so they're going to keep sitting there, raising your voice slightly, but that's not really mom's mad voice yet. I'm going to wait until you go to that yelling voice that gets a response. And then you become a bit like Charlie Brown's teacher, wah, 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 wah. No one's listening to you ever unless you're yelling. And then that, again, that's not a pleasant way to start your day or live your life, or you know, makes everybody feel grumpy and cross. So yelling, just scratch that. That's not going to be effective. All right, so I hope that helps. Thanks for watching today. Sleep well.